Assalamualaikum. Hi guys, so this is the second video on communication, and in this video I will be explaining more about this topic. For a start, let us turn our attention to one of the functions of communication, which is persuasion. To understand the process of persuasion, it's useful to consider two different ways we process information. Automatic processing does not really consider evidence or relying on facts, figures, and logic as controlled processing. Controlled processing requires effort and energy and also takes more time and effort to engage in it. So what makes someone engage in either automatic or controlled processing? Let us explore how we might determine what types of processing people will use. One of the best predictors is interest level. When people are very interested in the outcome of a decision, they are more likely to process information carefully. That's probably why people look for so much information when deciding about something very important, for example, where to live, compared to something relatively unimportant. Another predictor is prior knowledge. People who are well informed about a subject area are more likely to use controlled processing strategies. So that's why a better informed audience is likely to be much harder to persuade. Now let's look at personality. Do you always read at least 5 reviews of a movie before you decide that you want to watch it? If so, you are probably high in need for cognition. This is a personality trait of individuals who are most likely to be persuaded by evidence and facts. And lastly, another factor that influences whether people use automatic or controlled processing strategy is the characteristics of the message itself. For example, messages provided through rich communication channels encourage more controlled processing. Alright, so now let us look at some of the barriers that can affect communication. The first one is filtering, which refers to a sender's purposely manipulating information so the receiver will see it more favorably. A manager who tells his boss what he feels the boss wants to hear is filtering information. And the next one, we have selective perceptions, which describes how receivers only perceives what he or she desires to see and hear and sets aside or ignores other perceptions. For example, a teacher may have a favorite student because they are biased by in-group favoritism. Besides that, having too much information can also become problematic in communication. Emotions can also become a barrier in communication. You may interpret the same message differently when you are angry or when you are happy. And we also have language, which of course affects communication a lot. Even when we are communicating in the same language, words can mean different things to different people. Apart from this, silence can also become an obstacle. Silence can be the message to communicate non-interest or inability to deal with a topic. And sometimes, employee silence can mean managers' lack of information about ongoing operational problems in organizations. And we also have the problem of communication apprehension, where some people will experience undue tension and anxiety in oral communication, written, or both. These kind of people may find it extremely difficult to talk with others face-to-face or become extremely anxious when they have to use the phone. And the final barrier to effective communication is outright misinterpretation of information, or we can call it as lying. Of course, everyone knows lying is bad, and the frequency of lying and the difficulty in detecting liars make this an especially strong barrier to effective communication. So apart from all the barriers that I've mentioned just now, we must also understand that cultural factors may become a problem in communication. There are a number of issues related to language difficulties in cross-cultural communications. First, we have barriers caused by semantics. Words can mean different things to different people, particularly people from different national cultures. And sometimes, you can even translate directly some Malay words to English. And the second barrier is barriers caused by word. Besides this, barriers can also caused by word connotations. Words imply different things in different languages. And third, we have barriers caused by tone differences. In some cultures, language is formal, and in some others, it might be more informal. In some cultures, the tone changes depending on the context. People can speak differently at home, in social situations, and even at work. And fourth, we also have barriers caused by differences in tolerance for conflict and methods for resolving conflicts. For example, people from individualist cultures tend to be more comfortable with direct conflict compared to collectivist culture. So you can see the example here, even though both American and British speak English, they still have certain differences due to the effect of cross-culture. Cultures also tend to differ in the degree to which context influences the meaning individuals take from communication. In high-context cultures such as China, Korea, and Japan, people rely heavily on non-verbal and subtle situational cues in communicating. People within high-context cultures tend to be more aware and observant of facial expressions, body language, and other aspects of communications that are not directly spoken. In contrast, people from low-context cultures such as Europe and North America rely essentially on spoken and written words. When individuals from high-context and low-context cultures collaborate, there might be some difficulties that occur during the exchange of information. Therefore, contextual differences mean quite a lot in terms of communication. So we understand that communicating across cultures sometimes can be very challenging. So what can you do to reduce the misinterpretations? Well, some of the things that people can do is to recognize their own cultural identity, establish a climate of mutual respect, fairness, and democracy, also state facts and have sufficient time to observe and interpret situations from different perspectives. We must also consider other people's viewpoint and also proactively maintain the identity of the group by focusing on the goals, mutual respect, and adapt to individuals' communication preferences. So in short, I've highlighted some important things related to communication. So it's very important to note that the choice of communication modes and channel may affect communication effectiveness. Understanding challenges and barriers in communications are also very important to make sure information can be presented well to other people. So guys, this is the end of my communication video. Hopefully you've understand this topic well, and hopefully we'll be able to improve our communication and make it more effective.